mining consumes 2.3% of US electricity, which actually seems quite low to me. And it actually says it's from 0.6 to 2.3% of US electricity consumption. And it kind of goes on to basically kind of demonize it from a federal perspective and tracking, of course, the electricity consumption. You can see Texas here really blowing up. A lot of the states, I think northern New York, where mining's really popular. Starting to see a little kind of across the Midwest, not a lot. Very interesting map, I think, overall. This did go on to basically kind of defend it to a certain perspective, but it is important to note that what you are seeing is a lot of releases from the EIA and so on discussing this. And then you see from Time Magazine, a Texas town's misery underscores the impact of Bitcoin mines across the US. This article has been getting sent to me across the board from family members, friends, acquaintances, and of course over on Twitter. And this is kind of in my neck of the woods. It's really interesting to go through, but they did seem to cherry pick a lot of opinions. The interesting part here is a lot of it is complaint over noise pollution, like talking about Cheryl Shadden here, who lies awake in her home in Granbury, Texas, listening to nonstop roar. It's like sitting on the runway of an airport where jets are taking off one after another. Not quite like that. I lived underneath an airport. I also lived near train tracks, and I have had a mining farm in a 150 square foot bedroom in my actual house. All three equally annoying. I get it, right? But at the end of the day, I think you can really try to alleviate this by having basically areas where you can build out cryptocurrency mining and where you can't. Maybe in residential, it starts to get impact on, but that does hurt miners. The policy should be noise, right? From a HOA perspective or a local municipality perspective, not actually the act of mining. Because as everybody here knows, as a home miner, your incentive as a home miner is to reduce the noise so you don't get a divorce. You know, I didn't do such a great job of that. There you go. The noise comes from a nearby Bitcoin mining operation, which set up shop at a power plant in Granbury last year. Since then, residents in the surrounding area have complained to the public officials about incessant din that they say keeps them awake, gives them migraines, and seemingly cause wildlife to flee the region. And it goes on to say that the citizens are suffering in Hood County. And Granbury is one of many towns across the U.S. feeling the negative impacts of Bitcoin mining, an energy-intensive process that powers and protects the cryptocurrency. Those impacts include carbon and noise pollution and increased costs on consumers' utility bills. According to the New York Times, there are 34 large-scale Bitcoin mines across the U.S. in 2022. The crypto market tumbled in part due to the high-profile collapses of crypto companies like Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX. This is the narrative that they all get wrong, by the way. I just want to bring this up so everybody's completely aware. We all knew that it was going to come down. The Bitcoin halving and the cycle has been the same for the past 12 years. You're not going to convince me that Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX scandal was the cause of this reduction in price of Bitcoin, because it seems to repeat surrounding the halving cycle. What it is greedy people being greedy and buying when they see the price level of Bitcoin go up from the halving, and then realizing that they don't know what the fuck they're doing and selling it all, and then therefore bringing the price down to a more realistic state, which is the cost to mint a Bitcoin. It has nothing to do with FTX, which is the brilliance of Bitcoin in the very first place. But in 2023, prices rebounded once again, and mining companies decided to expand their operations in order to cash in, causing global energy consumption for mining to double, according to one study. Critics say that mining is causing both long-term environmental damage due to its energy use as well as local harm. We're at a loss here, Granbury resident Shadden said. We want our lives back. Bitcoin is so energy intensive because it relies on a process known as proof of work. Rather than being overseen by a single watchdog, Bitcoin is designed to disperse the responsibility of the network's integrity to voluntary miners around the globe who prevent tampering through a complex cryptographic process that consumes a vast amount of energy. All of you all know that. Over the past few years, Texas has become a global leader, which is awesome because Texas is a global leader in this and natural gas. So Like, secession, my man. It is what it is. So it does say that Bitcoin miners consume about 2,100 megawatts of the state's power supplies, and companies like Riot Platforms and Marathon Digital Holdings have recently expanded in the state. In December, Marathon paid $178 million to purchase Bitcoin mines in Kearney, Nebraska, and Granbury from Generate Capital. But with the Granbury purchase, Marathon also inherited a swath of angry nearby residents across Hood County whose lives have been upended by the mining facility. Generate Capital started operating the 300 megawatt facility, which sits about an hour southwest of Fort Worth, in 2023. Initially, many residents were unaware that what exactly was causing the noise. Shannon Wolf, who lives about 8 miles from the plant, first assumed that the rumble was coming from a nearby train. It has woken me up from dead sleep before, she says. Like I said, lived near a train track, very used to that happening. And that's kind of the thing. Like, we want... This is the frustrating part about all of it. Like, obviously, we need to figure out ways to where people can get along at the end of the day and people aren't impacted as heavily. Like, I definitely understand that. And I get that. But at the end of the day, too, like, we have certain things that are provided to us, conveniences that are provided to us by industry that are going to be noisy, like trains, like planes, like Bitcoin mining, right? There are these things that are going to happen that have to take place to a certain extent, give you the convenience that you so desire, right? Maybe also from that perspective, not having your power shut off, right? This is something that Bitcoin probably does for you that you don't even realize by the curtailment in that particular region. And so you really, like, with innovation, that we have these growing pains, but like there are industries that have been around for ages, centuries, like the railroad, that are just going to be noisy, right? But you wouldn't want to give up that convenience. As residents learned what had caused the din, social media platforms like Nextdoor and Facebook flooded with complaints. The sounds have been driving me to the point of insanity. I have continuous migraines. I can barely get out of my head, vomiting, nosebleeds, painful knots in my scalp, wrote one commenter. All the birds have left. Only buzzards, wrote another poster. That's pretty funny. I think very, very, very subjective there. Speaking of, if you're getting headaches and so on from the whim and the Wi-Fi signals, I'm wearing a tinfoil hat right now. You can pick it up on Amazon. I thought it was pretty funny. We're wearing it today for this. As complaints swelled, local officials brought the concerns to the site's operator. Over the summer, the company agreed to construct a 24-foot sound barrier wall on one end of the property at a cost of $1 to $2 million. But while the wall reduced sound in some areas, it actually amplified it in others. So obviously, they're going to have to figure that out. And that's going to be sanctioning surrounding the city and where they can build residential property, etc. Shirley says that he is monitoring the decibel levels of the facility. Texas state law stipulates that noise is considered unreasonable if it exceeds 85 decibels. For comparison, vacuum cleaners often run at around 75 decibels, and a cardiologist told Time in 2018 that chronic exposure to anything over 60 decibels had the potential to do harm to the cardiovascular system. Shadden took her own readings at her house near the Bitcoin mining facility that reached 103 decibels. Obviously, that's a problem that needs to be resolved. But the maximum penalty for breaking the Texas law is a $500 fine. So the state law is inadequate. He says that has been talking to the county attorney's office about options for recourse. If we have repeated violation problems, he will look into potential injunctive relief, he says. The community's ire boiled over at a town hall on January 29th, hosted by Shirley and Hood County Commissioner Nanette Samuelson. About 75 people filled the room to complain about the facility. Complaints from the attendees included migraines that required trips to the emergency room and a vertigo diagnosis. One attendee said she had been forced to put her chihuahua on seizure medication. Stop! That poor chihuahua, bro. I can't, dude. I can't take that seriously, man. Oh, that poor Chihuahua. Oh, while the constant noise has become a major irritant in the county, residents also worry about the facility's impact on their power supply, which I said is a moot point. I'm not even going to argue this anymore. I'm so tired of it. In fact, they're probably actually benefiting from it at this point because we have seen those direct benefits over the past year. So, you know, that's just, you know, the way it is. It is what it is. Now, there are areas that I'm looking at in Texas where the city actually has ordinances against cryptocurrency mining within the city limits. This is something that's been going across Texas for quite some time. I don't have a problem with it, right? You find something outside of the county. I think I'm 45 minutes outside of it right now. Where I'm looking is a couple hours outside of it, outside of the city limits. And so, you know, at the end of the day, there is all that you can take into account. We can be more responsible as miners and look for those types of things. The fact is it's typically cheaper as well outside of city limits, and you have to deal with less. It's easier to build out power outside of city limits, all that sort of thing. So I think this will correct itself. This is a self-correcting problem at the end of the day. I really do believe. It goes on to really harp on this. So they do have a correction at the end that say a previous version of this story misstated when the Wolf Hollows 2 power plant failed. It failed in 2021. It did not fail during a 2011 storm, though a separate but nearby plant, Wolf Hollow 1, did. The story also mischaracterized how the Texas grid performed in mid-January. Some individuals lost power, but the grid held up, which obviously that is something that's important to note. And I don't know when this particular facility was stood up either. That would be something that I would be interested in. It was bought. When was it bought? I think it was bought in 22. I don't think this facility was even stood up by then. For the winter storm, that is. So those are a couple things to look at. But I would assume at the end of the day, a lot of these articles are going to become more and more prevalent surrounding the industry. That is because I think at the end of the day too, we're starting to see that Bitcoin really does pose a threat to the current regime. And that is just a fact of the matter. We can talk about it more on sonofatech.locals.com, where I am able to talk about this stuff more freely, but suffice to say, expect more of this, but understand that with great power comes great responsibility. And Bitcoin is a great power. Now, you guys mined during the bear market. You made it through. Well, at least maybe a half of you. I know a lot of you motherfuckers over here didn't actually do it, but the ones that did, I have a new shirt for you guys. And it says, I mined with the bears for the bear market. Okay. So if you mined with the bears and you want to rep that you did mine during the bear market, go ahead and head on over to shop.sonofatech.com. And the listing will be down below. I'll put it in live chat right now. I have a sweatshirt. There's a sticker if you'd rather have a sticker, t-shirt, premium shirt, all that cool stuff. Really like the new shirt. I ordered a few for myself and I just had that design finished this week. Eventually it'll be on the YouTube channel, but that takes a little bit of time. So just give it some time. Proceeds, of course, go to supporting me in the channel. So there you go. And I thought we put some work into it, and I thought you guys might enjoy it. Thanks for watching this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. You can check out the full episode here, and don't forget to subscribe down here as well. You can also check out my crypto mining e-course at sonofatech.com, where you can get a free month of supporter status with a purchase at sonofatech.locals.com. Also, don't forget to check out my merch underneath the video or at shop.sonofatech.com. I'll see you next Tuesday.